Now, I went over already the feeding frequently and to watch your baby and not the clock. So you do want to always watch your baby and not the clock, but in the first few weeks of life, your baby is going to start losing some weight. So when you're in the hospital, it's totally normal for them to kind of lose some weight, and then they might plateau off. So they go down in their birth weight and they can lose several ounces. And then at that point, they kind of like, you know, level off, and then they start to go up their growth curve and gain weight at a consistent rate. And you want them to stay on that curve. How much weight is normal to lose? So in the first couple days of life, they're probably going to lose some weight, and we don't like to see them lose more than 10% of their birth weight. So that birth weight number can also be a little bit skewed by things like cesarean section, preeclampsia, if you had gestational diabetes, if you got a lot of fluids during your labor and delivery. There's different things that can kind of bulk up their weight at first, which may mean that they end up losing a little bit more than the standard pregnancy and delivery without any kind of complication or health issue that was going on. By day like 10 to 14, we really like to see that the baby is gaining back up, and by day 14, we really want them to be back to their birth weight. Now that can be a little flexible depending on what the situation looks like for you and your baby. Your doctor is really gonna follow them closely and make sure that they are gaining on the incline with their weight. So at that point, you want to see that your baby is gaining approximately 1 ounce per day. That's pretty consistent. So you want to watch your baby and not the clock, but the first couple weeks, your baby's going to be tired and may not always signal that they're hungry. And they may sleep for 3, 4, 5 hours. But you don't want to let them go that long, because if you let them go that long, that's 1 to 2 feedings that they're missing at the breast. And what happens when you miss feedings? You're more tired, you're more sleepy, they're more likely to miss more feedings. And when you miss more and more feedings, you're not gaining the weight that they need. So it can kind of be a spiral. So although you're exhausted and the baby's exhausted, you really do want to try to feed the baby frequently. So I would not in the first couple weeks of life until they've gained back their birth weight and then established a good feeding. So doesn't mean at day 14, if they're back to birth weight and doing well, that you can go let them sleep through the night and sleep 4 or 5 hour stretches. I would wait until your breastfeeding is well established, because those first 4 to 6 weeks are critical for your milk supply. So if you're going longer periods between feeding, those milk hormones and prolactin levels kind of decrease. So if you are up here and you're feeding and your prolactin levels are elevated, and then you're going longer periods between feeding, then your levels are going down. And then once you start feeding again, those levels kind of peak back up. And then the longer you go between, your levels go down. So if you're consistently letting those levels go down, 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 they're not going to get back at that highest peak level that you want them at for milk production, if that makes sense.